Nice little voice. Okay, cool. So this is John. I've scribbled all over this. John has been with me, like, I'd say, what is it, John, 12 months now?
Yes.
Nearly 12 months, getting on there. I don't know why Lemex is there.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
We're going to round it up. He's nearly dropped 90 pounds. Okay. But he's like achieved so much more just in his life generally. So we're really going to dig into like what was life like before John started working with me, before he started making these changes, and like where John's at now, like his wins, his struggles, any lessons he's learned around training, lifestyle, mindset, nutrition. And there might just be like one little nugget that you can sort of take away from this that you can implement and plug into your life, which is like something that you would never have got from myself, because like John's living it. He's got like 5 kids, a busy job, X, Y, and Z. So you guys are the inspiration for each other. And then that sort of helps me help you guys even more. So can everyone see all them red lines on my page?
Yeah.
I don't know why they're there. That's really annoying. We're gonna have to work with that. So John, I'll let you sort of lead the road a little bit. What was life like before John? Where's John? Let's give a little bit of an intro about yourself.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Thank you for indulging me with a bit of your time today. I do appreciate that. And hopefully I got something that can help you guys. Maybe if it's just one, like Rob said, 1 or 2 little things. So a year ago, I'd got myself into a position where I really knew that I was damaging my health through my lifestyle and my fitness. I'm not a big guy. I'm about 5'6", 5'7". I'm shrinking. We all do that when we get older. But where I was a year ago, I was over 22 stone. So 312 pounds or 142 kilos. I couldn't fit into regular clothes. And as Rob said, got a high profile job. I wore business suits to work. I had to get all my suits made to measure because there was just nothing on the shelf that fit me. I was in daily pain as well from osteoarthritis in my knees. But also I could feel my weight was hurting on my back. I couldn't do stairs anymore. I was starting to do workarounds and life hacks to accommodate my bulk. Something's wrong when you have to take the run up to tie your shoelaces, and that's where I was at. I would fall asleep the moment I sat down for more than 10 minutes. If I wasn't busy, I was asleep. I was trying to stay awake by ramming all kinds of high energy foods down my neck. As I said, I would take different routes to work to avoid staircases. If the fire alarm went off in the office, I was at roadblock going down the stairs with everybody else piled up behind me. I knew I was shortening my life, and I knew I had to make some changes. So I reached back out to Rob, who'd just gone online with his academy. I'd worked with Rob maybe 6-7 years earlier in the gym as a PT when I was into a lot of martial arts work, and I was trying to get my fitness up to do my black belt. And I knew Rob would be mechanically sympathetic to my arthritis and other challenges that I had physically. So when I reached out to him to start an online program, it just worked really well for me. In comparison, I used to take a 54-inch trouser and a 60-inch jacket. That's 5X if you want to buy a t-shirt. Now, into a 38-inch trouser, 50-inch jacket, which is a 2X t-shirt. So that's how much circumference I've lost, from a 54-inch trouser to a 38. So that's a massive difference for me. I can touch my toes again, which is a big win. But more importantly, the daily pain is gone. I can do stairs, and I can sit down for more than 10 minutes without falling asleep. And for me, those are the bigger wins. Those are the indicators that tell me that I'm not taking years off my life anymore through a poor lifestyle and exercise. So my fitness is better, my health is better. I used to get a cold every October, and it would hang on me until March. In the last year, I've had a cold 3 times, but they've all been gone within a week. So it's just more energy, more vitality.
Cool. Awesome, that, John. So like, how would you say that has like benefited, obviously, like work and family and that side of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can keep up with my kids now. If anything, they're asking me to slow down. In terms of work, you know, I bring in more energy to the role. I'm able to think clearer, think sharper. You know, I've been successful with career progression, even though we've been in lockdown, and I've not actually been at the physical office since February 2020. You know, I've picked up a couple of additional roles since then, and I'm continuing to build on that. So it's working really well. I'm getting more time with my kids. My kids actually see the difference in me, and they're proud of what I've achieved as well, which is great because they see it now as the new me and not just something that I'm doing. You know, oh, Dad's on a diet. No, Dad's Mr. Healthy now. They actually call me Mr. Healthy as a bit of a nickname. You know, oh, Mr. Healthy's not eating the cake again, but that's my choice because I'd rather be Mr. Healthy and decide that no, I don't want to eat a cake today. I'll eat a cake if I feel like it, sure, but that's my choice because I want to maintain that Mr. Healthy image, and you know, it'll rub off on the kids in a positive way because they know that when they're feeling rough, they can look back and see that they've maybe not eaten particularly over the last couple of weeks either.
Love that. Just, I don't know if we've said, like, John has 5 kids. Like, I've just got the one, so got full admiration for everything John's done so far. Like, I struggle with just the one child. That's unbelievable, John. Is there anything else you want to add there? Or?
Yeah, I think in terms of the before and after, that paints a pretty good picture. Like you saw the photograph from earlier, that is actually 1 year on. So in the summer, we usually go to quite a remote place. My middle kid is on the autistic spectrum, so we don't do busy places. So we go and rent a cottage in the middle of nowhere. It comes with a little lake. So the one on the left is me in my 5X wetsuit a year ago, and I'd actually bust the zipper because I was that big, so I stuck a t-shirt over the top of it. And then the one on the right, 1 year later, just about to go in for a wild swim.
Madness.
Yeah.
Love that. Absolutely crazy. Awesome, John. Thanks so much for sharing that. So we're going to like touch upon like the mindset that shifts that have sort of helped you get to where you are now and basically implement everything that you have and get the results you've got, really. So if you can sort of share like what sort of changes you've had or any, I don't know, epiphany moments and like just how that's helped you sort of obviously achieve what you've achieved so far.
Yeah, certainly. So I think the important one is, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, I'm not aiming for goals. Yes, it's great to have goals to start off with, but I'm not aiming for goals. I'm aiming to reset my values. So this is my new normal. These are my new values. This is my new identity. I'm not somebody who is working on losing weight. I'm somebody that is living a healthy lifestyle with better choices. But to get there, there's obviously certain stages. And yes, do have some initial goals to get you moving. It's that first gear as you go into the gearbox to get there. You have to know what you're currently at to be able to measure the improvement. Because to start off with, you don't necessarily physically feel any better. It can almost be the opposite as well. If you're as overweight as I was, and you're having to do exercise, you're going to discover all kinds of new aches and pains as muscles wake up that you've never used in a decade. So having those measurements just help you get through the initial inertia of getting moving. But when you do get moving, I think this is another key one here. Information is power. Measure everything, track everything, weigh anything, at least until you build up that good knowledge base. I want to share a little milestone with you this week. I've got a personal milestone. I hit 350 days continuous logging in MyFitnessPal. 350 days, that's my streak. And, you know, even now, I still go in and I measure everything. I put everything in, even though I eat the same breakfast every day, 6 days a week, I still put it in because I know when I look back that the whole day counts. Rob quite often says your body doesn't reset at midnight. So if I have a few snacks on an evening, I need to know what the full day look like or the full week look like. So measure and count. Absolutely. Start be the nerd in the supermarket reading the labels on the back of those products when you're buying them, particularly as you're starting to build up your new food library. And also, to be sustainable, it has to fit. So don't start cooking dishes that you'd never eaten before. Yeah, try one or two, and if they work, build them in. But don't rewrite your entire menu. Don't go suddenly from somebody that eats very traditional hot meals to living off salads. It's great for a couple of weeks, but my goodness, you're going to miss a cottage pie in the long run. So make it fit. If it fits and it's sustainable, it becomes autopilot. If it's autopilot, it builds, and we see that analogy of putting coins in a machine, coin dozers. It just builds. Make it a habit, but habits are great if they're easy, because as people we do default to whatever's easy. So make them fit. And the other thing, which is kind of the opposite of that, but eating the frog or the just do it. That was something that I had to work on, and doing it in stages. I can be a world-class procrastinator, but procrastinator is sort of like that old friend that you used to see in the pub that may be jealous of your progress and wants you to just come back to the pub and sit down and have a beer and a bag of crisps. Procrastination can be just like that. And I have to get stuff done in the morning, because if I leave myself time to think about it, I'll come up with so many excuses and self-sabotage. So get it done, and then it starts to become a habit. And as you're putting it in there, and you start to feel the measures, just grind through it initially, and it will pay off. Other things, movement is medicine, and this is something that again you got to build up to. But when I started out, I was doing 2,000 steps a day. I started doing my rob workouts, and then I was about 4 months in when I actually started to put in a daily walk every morning. And I started off small. I started off with just under 2 kilometers. It took me about half an hour, and I figured out different routes around the village. So now my morning walk is 5.3 kilometers, but it's got a couple of really big hills in there. It started off taking me just over an hour. I did it this weekend. I'm down to 57 minutes. So I'm still making progress. I'm still building on where I'm going. And it's to the point now where I can do it without getting too tired. So I know that I'm going to have to stretch it a little bit or stick in a bigger hill somewhere, but build on it. Don't expect to jump straight into your new stuff. Other areas where you can do movement, and you probably notice I sway around a lot on these calls, it's because I got rid of my chair. I use a stand-up desk. As crazy as it sounds, a stand-up desk has added 5,000 steps to my day, because I'll pace up and down when I'm on the phone, on a call. Try to avoid video calls because people can see you doing that and it looks a bit strange, but lose your chair. As people, we weren't designed for chairs, and your back feels better, and it takes some building up. Don't try and do a whole day standing up straight away. Do an hour here, an hour on, an hour off. But those kind of changes build the movement into your day. Other mindset changes. I'm not giving things up. Okay, I'm just making a choice in the moment. That's a good choice. So I'm not saying I don't eat chocolate anymore. I'll still have that slice of cake when I want to, on my terms. I'm not going to feel pressured to follow the standard of, you had a main course, you got to have a dessert because you're out in a restaurant. Oh no, I'm choosing not to have a dessert today because actually I want to go and have a couple of glasses of wine on the weekend, so I'm saving it up. So I'm just making choices that fit me. I'm not quitting anything. I still eat carbs. I still drink alcohol. I've not got onto salads or anything like that. I'm just making the right choice in the moment. And as you make these, you sort of get this build up of benefits. And as your body improves, as your body changes, take time to understand it. Don't push it into doing something that you haven't done either ever or for a while. Grow to it slowly. If you lose a bit of weight and you find yourself taking a different size of clothes, learn that new body. Don't try and push yourself too fast, because if you go too fast, body shape's a bit elastic, it will try and snap you back to where you were at. So you have to trick it. It's almost like the boiled frog analogy. You raise the temperature slowly, get used to your new body slowly, then it's less likely to snap back. So take the time, understand, and figure out all these little changes. And most importantly, this is not a race to get to where you want to be. You know, Rob will always warn you against crash diets. It's the journey. Enjoy aspects of the journey, but more importantly, it's your journey. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're the only person with your body living your life. You're the only person that knows where your aches and pains are, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. Be kind to that, be aware of that. So don't set goals that are going to be unattainable. Set goals that you can achieve. Even if you think they're a little bit too easy, I would rather smash 3 easy goals in 3 weeks than set myself one big goal in 3 weeks' time and then feel bad that I've not made it. So be kind, congratulate yourself on every small win, even if it's just a 10-day streak on MyFitnessPal. Celebrate that to yourself, you know, a little yay, I did that. And just appreciate it. It is these little 1% that build up and get you to where you want to be.
Amazing, John. I got loads of gold there. Thanks so much for sharing that. And you can see like your shift in mindset is like the reason why you've achieved what you've achieved so far. So let's take that into like any like lifestyle hacks you've had over like the last 12 months that have obviously helped accelerate get where you're at.
Yeah, and I mean, my lifestyle was particularly poor before. So I think for me, I mentioned already, get yourself a stand-up desk so you can build more movement into your everyday. That's easy to do. It doesn't impact anything. And get some exercise in early, because at least then, you know, you've got some points on the board. And I take the same view on my nutrition as well. If you get a good breakfast and you're not trying to play catch up the rest of the day. Something else that's really important to me, and I could not do a thing without it, is my personal framework. I have set in stone when I start work. I have set in stone when I stop work, and I have set in stone when I go to bed. And I don't change those for anybody. They're my boundaries, and I absolutely respect my boundaries. And this is the important thing. If you don't respect your boundaries, nobody else will. So set yourself that framework. Get up at a time that suits you. Start work at a time that suits you. Finish work at a time that suits you. And make sure you go to bed so you're ready to do it all again. And get that framework in. And I know that life is challenging, so have a plan B. If I have to start work early, this is my plan B for breakfast. You know, and it could be that I'll have a pot of yogurt ready to go that I can eat on mute because it's easy to do. Or if I have to take a call at 6:30 a.m., then I will take off between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. so I can get my walk in. So have that plan B and try and make sure that framework is as solid and as sustainable as possible. And sort of going hand in hand with that is educating the people around you. As I mentioned earlier, you know, my kids see this as me now. I am, in their mind, Mr. Healthy. They don't see it as daddy's on a diet or daddy's having to do some exercise. They see this as dad eats well, dad is naturally active. So educate the people around you and let them understand this is your new set of values, your new normal. And we're probably in a good position now because we're all coming out of a very insular routine for the past year and a half, where we can introduce our new normal to these people. You know, and if anything, make them a little jealous that you've been able to do this personal lifestyle upgrade. And when you go back into big society, they're going to see, wow, my God, look at that. You look great. What have you been doing this past year and a half? I've just been sat on a couch eating bourbons. Look at me, I've put on a stone. You know, and they're going to see that you're fitter, stronger, happier, healthier. And educate them that this is the new year. You're not going to go for pints on a Tuesday because that doesn't fit with your values anymore. Don't be afraid to evangelize a little bit because people will see your passion and they'll respect you for it. I'd rather people get bored with me about banging on about feeling great than getting bored with me about banging on about, oh my goodness, my knees are killing me and I'm so tired. I want to be the optimistic person, full of energy that they secretly aspire to be like, and not the guy that they're so glad they don't feel like. And I used to be the guy that I was so glad I don't feel like John. You know, he was nearly dying after 3 flights of steps. Whereas now, did you see John's Facebook update? He's just walked 20 miles and done 3 mountains. I know how I want to be. And I know I mentioned this before, but recognize them successes, celebrate them, even if it's just to yourself. We're great as humans at doing things like to-do lists. What we're not so great at is doing an I've done it list. And at the end of the week, when you're looking back and you've got a couple of little wins, no matter how small, put them on your done it list. And when you're having a day when your motivation is low or you've had a bit of a few punches from life thrown at you, pick up your done it list and just celebrate. Oh my goodness. I remember that week, you know, I walked every day and I hit my food goal every day. And I felt amazing for it. And I did that. Celebrate your done it list as much as you write stuff on your to-do list. And finally, with lifestyles, always be a learner. New info comes out, new products come out, new ways of doing stuff come out, or you could simply just be listening to somebody who does stuff in a different way and you think it's worth a try for you. So always be a learner. Don't think that you've got all the information that you need, because information is forever growing. So use it as it comes. You know, there's a whole running buffet of info out there. Pick the bits that are good for you, but always be ready to pick up some more.
Love that, John. Thanks so much for that. Really appreciate it. Okay, so what nutrition hacks or like changes or things have really helped you sort of obviously achieve what you've achieved?
Yeah. So it's back to start with information again. You know, read the labels, get into the habit of looking at the labels on the back. You know, how many calories, how much protein, how many carbs if you're managing carbs, and get the info and use that to make informed choices. You know, there's cheese out there that is virtually identical but 30% less fat than the one right next to it on the shelf. And try it. You know, people say, oh, low fat cheese, it's an abomination, like decaf coffee or alcohol-free beer, but try it once. If you put it in a dish and you don't see a difference, then stick with it. If you see a difference in a sandwich, then don't use it in a sandwich, but you can still put it on top of your nachos or whatever. Look at things like beers. You know, you can get beers that's a third less calories than the next brand next to it. And it doesn't always say on the bottle that is less calories. So start using your MyFitnessPal in the supermarket, scan them barcodes and see what's in it. Beers, wines, you know, there are 100 less calories in a bottle of Merlot versus a bottle of Shiraz, but there's 100 less calories in a bottle of Pinot Grigio than in a bottle of Merlot. So if you want a glass of wine, have a Pinot Grigio rather than a Shiraz. You're still having a glass of wine, you're still enjoying yourself, but you're saving massive amounts of calories by just having more information. Other things, learn to make stuff yourself. If you pick up a cottage pie in the supermarket out of the freezer, it's on average 650 calories. When I make my own, it's 420 calories. All right, it takes me 20 minutes longer to put dinner on the table, but because I've got my good framework in about how my day goes, I can make a comparable dish and save 200 calories per dish, and it's still just as big, it's still just as tasty, and it's still just as filling. And learn to use little flavor boosters that don't have a calorific input. So Worcester sauce, or for vegetarians, Henderson's relish tastes identical but doesn't have the fish in it. That is a wonderful flavor booster for savory food. A dash of that, no calories, and it really will transform a dish. You know, stick it in lentils and tomatoes, and it's amazing. Things like a splash of hot sauce, you know, whether it's a milder hot sauce or whether it's something that puts a bit of fire in your belly, can really transform a dish. I like to front load my day because usually in the evening it's a family meal and has to be more flexible to accommodate the taste of 7 people. So I always start my day with a pot of high protein yogurt and maybe a spoonful of granola on top, or a bit of muesli or some dried fruit. So I know straight away I got 50 grams of protein in. And then for lunch, I might do something like a processed meal, like an Aldi Slimwell curry. Again, 350 calories on average and another 50 grams of protein. So, we got to 1 in the afternoon and I've already got 100 grams of protein in me and I've not even gone over 800 calories. Another great high protein, low calorie is cottage cheese and corn cakes. Corn cakes, less calories than rice cakes, but twice as tasty. Just read the label and try it out and build up your own personal food diary. And then on the make it yourself stuff, another tip for those chocolate lovers, if you make a cup of Cadbury's hot chocolate, it's 160 calories. If you make your own cup of cocoa, it's 60 calories. So you can have 3 of those to 1 Cadbury's if you want, or save the calories for something else. And, look at snacks as well. You can get a bag of Quavers for 80 calories, or you can get a healthy granola bar, which turns out to got 200 calories in it. If you just after something quick to put in your mouth for a nice flavour, get a bag of Quavers. And don't be afraid to look at kids' options. But also with some of this processed stuff, because it's got a lot of fat and salt in it to make it tasty, it can also then make you want to drink more or eat more. So just do be wary of that. But generally, read those labels and you'll find quite often there's 2 or 3 alternatives of something very similar that'll let you still eat what you want to eat, but start to build that deficit of daily calories.
Love that, John. Is that you covered on the nutrition stuff?
Yeah, that's most of it.
Yeah, it's gold.
One more thing. Don't buy things you're not going to tempt you. It's so easy to pick up snacks and stuff to say it's for the kids, but then end up eating half of them yourself. If kids want a treat, fine, buy a treat. Buy one when you're, on the way back from school, stop at the shop and let them pick a treat. Don't buy up a 6-pack of Mars bars when you're in the supermarket, because if you're at home all day, 3 of those are going to go to you. So just avoid obvious visual temptations, or if you do buy them, stick them in a cupboard, and stick them in a cupboard that you don't go into regularly. So if you're just going to make yourself a nice cup of tea, and in the same cupboard as your tea bags is a bag of biscuits, then you're onto a loser. Put the biscuits in a different cupboard from the tea. So when you make a cup of tea, you don't automatically reach for the biscuits.
I love the simple swaps as well. Like something like you said there, you can have a healthy granola bar or just a bag of Quavers, half the calories, and it's. So I mean, we get caught up, don't we, in the healthy choices. Amazing. So, like training, John, like what sort of things have really helped sort of you on that side of things?
Yeah. So with the training, this is really where you have to do feedback with Rob, because the more you tell Rob, then the more he can adjust it to fit where you're at, because your body's going to be changing all the time. You're going to find stuff becomes easier, or you're going to find some things that you still can't do. I still cannot do split squats after a year. Rob will slip them in every couple of months to see if I'll do them. But unfortunately, my knees still aren't there yet. I know I'm probably another 20 kilos off being able to do split squats. So I tell him, and he'll take them out, but he'll slip them in again in a couple of months to see if I can. Break it up as well. If you're struggling to fit in an hour's worth of workout into your day, then break it up. Can you do 3 20-minute slots? Or can you break it up over 2 days? So you're doing a half an hour in 2 days. But make it important to your day. Just like a work meeting, that's important. You put it in your diary, you do not move it, you make sure that the day well revolves around that work meeting. Make your training important to you as well. And let people know that it's important to you. Respect your own boundaries so that other people will respect your boundaries too. And then build it up in stages, just like I did with my walking, starting off under 2 kilos. Now, I do about 5.5 kilometers a day. But that's because I'm limited to an hour and I have to get on with my day. On a weekend, I'm quite comfortable walking 15 kilometers or more in a single outing. But it took me time to build up there, a whole year to get there. So don't try and blast it. Be gentle to yourself. We all are getting a little bit older. We're not as resilient as we were. And overdoing it one week can set you back the next 2 or 3. So, be gentle. This is a journey. This is not somewhere that you have to be in X number of weeks. You might have set off with that original objective. I want to be in a particular size by my holidays. That's great to have that as an aspiration, but it's not going to be your main driver. Your main driver is to get to a sustainable place, and hurting yourself by doing it won't get you there. So, communicate with Rob. He's the expert in this field. So use his knowledge and feedback so that he knows exactly where you're at. Break it up if you need to. Make it important, but be gentle to yourself. Take 2 weeks to get there safely and sustainably rather than trying to do it in one and end up hurting yourself and knocking yourself back.
Love that, John. And I think the great thing here is it sounds like I've told you to say all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? But you've just literally listened, applied your own spin on it, and that's why you've got the results you've got. And I think if we go back to just you being open-minded and not be, striving for perfection, you're going to be able to find your way of doing things. Is there anything else you want to add on what we spoke about today?
Just one thing. And it's the underlying theme. It is the glue that holds us all together. And that's be accountable. Ultimately, if you're not accountable, you're not respecting yourself. And accountability and success are so closely related. And whether it's, as it's going on the training side here, be accountable on your training, but also on your nutrition, but also on your mindset. Are you setting those boundaries? Do you set the framework and then don't stick with it? Really be accountable. Do those audits. They're on there. Try it out. It's for your benefit. And if you're not accountable, if you're not logging your food or you're not doing the exercise, then you're not going to get the success. They really are so closely related. Accountability is your dashboard of your progress.
It goes back to managing what you measure, isn't it? Even if you don't have to be accountable on all, you might just pick, I know some weeks, John, you're incredibly busy and training goes out the window, but you'll put your focus more on nutrition or whatever. And then there might be weeks where your nutrition will slip up, so you'll put your focus on walks. And it's about putting your energy into something rather than nothing. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. But even when you slip up, log it. If you do go out on a night out, log it. Or if you do skip a training, make sure that you log it, because it's only with all the information, and that's all accountability is really. It is you giving information to your future you. And without being accountable, you're going to be as blind as you were when you started this journey. Yeah, you needn't feel well, you needn't feel right, you knew you could feel better, but you weren't quite sure what it was that was causing it.
Love that. Absolute gold, that, John. Thanks so much for that. So I'm going to upload all this so people can have a read over it if you want, if you can read my terrible handwriting. But I don't know if anyone has any questions, or if you've got any questions, feel free to type it in the chat or just big John up and give him some love, because I think that's incredible what he said. It sounds like I've given him a script and told him to read it out, but honestly, I haven't. That's all from John. I don't know if anyone wants to talk. I think that was amazing.
Rob, can I chip in?
Yeah, go for it, Francis.
John, you are genuinely an inspiration. Absolutely fabulous. But I have a question. You've obviously had, I can't believe that the last 12 months have been plain sailing, just like a steady, straight line to where you are now. You must
Yeah.
have had some bad times where you were slipping back and feeling bad. How did you get out of that?
Yeah, absolutely, Francis. And Rob said that I mean, at the moment, if you look at my graph, I've lost 85 pounds this year. Actually, I've lost 98 pounds this year because sometimes I put it on and I had to come back and recover from that. Yeah. So the accountability and the measurement really takes some of the surprises out. If you know what you put into your body and you know what you've used your body to do, then you should not be surprised on the weeks when you have made less progress than on the weeks when you've perhaps been able to hit your nutrition goals, hit your exercise goals. But the important thing is zoom out. And it's not a weekly reset, a weekly measurement. It is a journey. And on average, I've lost what, £1.5 a week? Which if you set off and measure week 1, I've lost £1.5 for putting all this effort. That's not fair. Why have I only lost £1.5? But those £1.5 a week, they add up. And over a year, that gave me 6 stone. And yeah, I know there's going to be some weeks. It's right now. I'm at that plateau right now. So I went on a holiday a few weeks ago and I put on £3 and I stayed at that £3. And I know I need to reset and get moving again. But I know I will, because when I zoom out and I see that graph going down across the whole year, I can do this. And I just need to stay consistent, stay accountable. So I've got my dashboard ready to show me where I'm at and what I'm doing, and make those good choices, because I've now got this wonderful library of things that I can eat and drink that take me to where I want to be, rather than things that I could eat and drink that, yeah, might give me a momentary hit with a chocolate hobnob, but I know I would ultimately be much better off having a banana than a chocolate hobnob. So it builds up, and I feel less guilty about not making the progress, because I know overall I'm absolutely smashing it. Even this week, if I've not lost an ounce of weight, but I've taken 3 minutes off my lap time at the village. So there's always something that you can use to inspire yourself to move it on. The thing is, you just need to broaden your perspective. And if you didn't stick another dial on that dashboard, which is, the time it takes you to walk to the shop and back is now quicker than it was before, then that's great, because it gives you another positive to measure. And just look for those measures of improvement that will drive you forwards. And over the long run, stay consistent and the weight will come down, this will go up. And I think of the overall thing as a dashboard of health, not of weight or of fitness or of strength, but of health. And you get there.
Good job. Thank you.
Incredible, John.
Hi, John. It's Kate here. Oh, sorry.
Hey, Kate.
Okay.
Hiya. Yeah, congratulations on the last year. Superb. You talked about I call them the non-negotiables. That you get up and you start work at a certain time, you have, certain number of hours or whatever it is dedicated to yourself. How do you deal with people in everyday life? And I'm thinking kind of work life predominantly, but it could be family as well, who just don't buy into it and actually can become an obstruction to some of those non-negotiables on this kind of new you. How do you kind of manage some of those conversations?
Sure. So first of all, I try to not have the conversation, meaning that in my diary at work, and I'm fortunate in a way that the vast majority of my meetings are internal. So I probably have 20 internal meetings a week and maybe just 2 with external vendors or suppliers. So I stick in my diary between 7:30 and 8:30 every morning, family time, no meetings, please. And that's blocked out. And if somebody tries to book a meeting, it shows me he's out of office. So that avoids having those conversations in the first place. If somebody is so desperate to speak to me in that time slot and they can't find any other time to speak to me, then they approach me by exception. And they ask me, are you willing to do a call in this time? Mm-hmm. And if it's a one-off and it's urgent, I'll do it, but I will not ever take a recurring meeting in that time. I'm respecting my boundaries there. And be honest, I'll give them a story. Say, look, I'm sorry, I can't do a call then. I have to take my son to school. And if I take your call, he's going to be late for school. And it's not fair for me to make my son late for school because you can't find a mutually convenient time. Now, I know it's different if you've got perhaps a customer who's desperate to converse with you at that time, but there are alternatives. You know, can this be something that you can maybe handle through an email? Is this something that does it have to be a face-to-face conversation? Is it something that you can perhaps break up so you can deal with an urgent issue now via a text and you pick up the rest of the conversation later on at a more appropriate time? So it is, don't be afraid to share a little bit of your personal circumstance. If you have to make them feel guilty because your son's going to be late for school, or make them feel guilty because you're babysitting for your sister, make them feel guilty. Say, this is having a personal cost because you've not managed your time right. And now you're expecting me to not manage my time right as well. And say, look, if this absolutely has to happen, it will, but it's happening at this cost and you're paying the bill for it.
Yeah, and I think saying yes to all of those things as well kind of devalues the value of the engagement with people as well, right?
Yeah,
You know?
If you don't respect it, they won't respect it.
And have you had people, John, that have been, come on, John, come and have another pint and pie and stuff, and actually you've actually ended up almost cutting them out of your life because they've been unhealthy for what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, and again, I've been fortunate that this has happened during the pandemic. I used to be the guy asking you to stay for another pint, and I've not had that opportunity. So, in a way, it hasn't happened yet. We'll see if it does. You know, when I finally get back to London, which will probably be in the new year now. I'm hoping that I built up enough of the momentum and I present enough of a physical difference in myself that they understand that these new values are important to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could still go out and meet with people and I could have a Diet Coke rather than 4 pints of Guinness. Still having the same conversations.
Exactly. Thanks, John.
I think it goes back to, like, if you can't respect yourself, so respect your boundaries, how do you expect others to respect you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're willing to take everything for someone else, like, you'll just get, like, we all know it, like, they just want it to serve them. So that's why you need to make it serve you. Do you know what I mean? So the time is beneficial for them, but it's a pain for you. And you just need to go back to that. It's not about them, it's about you. Like John says, you're going to have times where if you've got to do it, but just have that conversation. Do you know what I mean? And when you've had that conversation, you'll be like, it actually wasn't that bad. And they're probably more than reasonable. Do you know what I mean? That was great, that, John. I've got loads from that as well. I think loads of people can take away stuff from that. And I think you should be incredibly proud of what you've achieved so far. I'm dead proud to have worked with you and keep working with you. So I don't know if everyone wants to mute or just clap or there's loads of things in the chat, but let's all give him some love because I think if anything, this should just solidify what you've achieved so far and just keep being an inspiration. Yeah, there's loads of love in the chat for you. But yeah, thanks so much for doing that, John. It was so useful. Yeah, great. I shall